A new study from the Lancet Psychiatry shows that between 2000 and 2011, there have been about 45,000 suicides per year that were brought on as a result of unemployment. Now, the study collected data from the World Health Organization, particular sections of the International Monetary Fund as well, so they got a really well-rounded collection of data. And they also showed that unemployment as a cause of suicide increased 9 times during periods of economic crisis. The lead author of the study, Dr. Carlos Nord of the University of Zurich Psychiatric Hospital in Switzerland, say that his results show that there needs to be an increased focus on the reduction of unemployment in order to combat suicides. Now, the study used longitudinal modeling across 63 countries from the 2011 to 2008, meaning it deliberately went through a period where there was not crisis so they could compare it to times when there was crisis so they could actually see if there was a difference. Some interesting conclusions were made by the study. Overall, regions included in the analysis, the rate of suicide associated with unemployment increased by 20 to 30% in 2000 to 2011. Around 233,000 suicides took place each year during this period, and unemployment accounted for around 45,000. Unemployment was associated with 41,148 suicides in 2007 and 46,131 in 2009, which suggests that the recession in 2008 was responsible for 4,983 additional suicides. This indicates that unemployment is responsible for 9 times as many suicides as the economic crisis. Suicide rates tended to increase 6 months before a rise in unemployment rates, and that increasing unemployment rates affected men and women equally, which goes against what we're traditionally told. Now, as Marxists, we see this as a part of the alienation of labor, which means our contribution to society, our work, defines a large part of who we are, and it is the major part of determining our social interactions with each other. Our economic interactions determine a large part of what that social interaction is as well. So if we lose that, we also lose that connection. I mean, this is the much bigger part of Marx's theory of alienation. Now, in order to fully explain that, I'm going to have to go into more detail. Alienation is the process whereby people become foreign to the world they are living in. The concept of alienation is deeply embedded in all great religions and social and political theories of the civilized epoch, namely the idea that in some time past people lived in harmony, and then there was some kind of rupture which left people feeling like foreigners in the world. But sometime in the future, this alienation would be overcome and humanity would live again in harmony with itself and nature. Marx had a specific understanding of this very sharp experience of alienation, which is found in modern bourgeois society. Marx developed this understanding through his critique of Hegel. According to Hegel, through their activity, people created a culture which then confronted them as an alien force. But for Hegel, human activity itself, but the expression of the spirit which acted through people. In the first place, Marx insisted that it was human labor which created culture and history, not the other way around. In other words, spirit was a human product, not the other way around. Subjectivity is a characteristic of subjects and personality, a characteristic of the person. Instead of considering them to be predicates of their subjects, Hegel makes the predicates independent and then lets them be subsequently and mysteriously converted into their subjects. The existence of the predicate is the subject. Thus, the subject is the existence of subjectivity, etc. Hegel makes the predicates the object independent, but independent as separated from their real independence, their subject. Subsequently, and because of this, the real subject appears to be the result, whereas one has to start from the real subject and examine its objectification. The mystical substance becomes the real subject, and the real subject appears to be something else, namely a moment of the mystical substance. Precisely because Hegel starts from the predicates of universal determination instead of from the real subject, and because there must be a bearer of this determination, the mystical idea becomes this bearer. But secondly, practice changes the material world. Practice was therefore objective. The labor process was therefore an objectification of human powers. But if the workers related to their product as an expression of their own essence and recognized themselves in their product and were recognized by others in their work, then this was not the basis for alienation. On the contrary, this was only genuinely human relation. Let us suppose that we had carried out production as human beings. Each of us would have in two ways affirmed himself and the other person. One, in my production, I would have objectified my individuality, its specific character, and therefore enjoyed not only an individual manifestation of my life during the activity, but also when looking at the object. I would have the individual pleasure of knowing my personality to be objective, visible to the senses, and hence a power beyond all doubt. 2. In your enjoyment or use of my product, I would have the direct enjoyment of being conscious of having satisfied a human need by my work, that is, of having objectified man's essential nature, and of having thus created an object corresponding to the need of another man's essential nature. Our products would be so many mirrors in which we saw reflected our essential nature. In this work, written in 1844, Marx shows how alienation arises from private labor, from commodity production. Let us review the various factors as seen in our supposition. My work would be a free manifestation of life, hence an enjoyment of life. Presupposing private property, my work is an alienation of life, for I work in order to live, in order to obtain for myself the means of life. My work is not my life. Marx went on to show that the specific form of labor characteristics of bourgeois society, wage labor, corresponds to the most profound form of alienation. Since wage workers sell their labor power to earn a living, and the capitalist owns the labor process, the product of the worker's labor is in a very real sense alien to the worker. It is not his or her product, but the product of the capitalist. The worker makes a rod for his or her own back. Once a product enters the market, no one has any control of it, and it sets off on a course which appears to be governed by superhuman laws. With commodities, it is a definite social relation between men that assumes in their eyes the fantastic form of a relation between things. In order, therefore, to find an analogy, we must have recourse to the mist-enveloped regions of the religious world, in that the world of productions of the human brain appears independent, endowed with life, and entering into relation both with one another and the human race. So it is in the world of commodities, with the production of with the products of men's hands. This I call the fetishism, which attaches itself to the products of labor. So as soon as they are produced as commodities, and which is therefore inseparable from the production of commodities, this fetishism of commodities has its origin, as the foregoing analysis has already shown, in the peculiar social character of labor that produces them. Alienation and the fetishism of commodities are therefore related to the concept of reification, in which social relations are conceived of as relations between things. Alienation can be overcome by restoring the truly human relationship to the labor process, by people working in order to meet people's needs, working as an expression of their own human nature, not just to earn a living. From this, we cannot be surprised that there would be such an astronomical increase in suicides as a result of unemployment. Employment is tied to absolutely everything in your life. Your food, your housing, your recreational activities, everything. In fact, economic hardship is the #1 cause of divorce. So can we really be surprised that something with such a poisonous character such as, wage labor relations would have such a negative impact on people's mental health, as it pervades every piece of the human existence? This is one of those truly pernicious evil parts of capitalism that go relatively unexplored by bourgeois scholars. They tend to pretend things like this don't exist, and that merely the free and voluntary exchange of commodities is therefore freedom. So that exchange there must be a good thing and make people happy. Yet very clearly we see the opposite happening. And that's really one of the dastardly parts of capitalism that bourgeois scholars go to, sometimes to great lengths, to cover up. So again, we see capitalism, just like everything else with the market, allocating work and funds according to a profit-driven motive, not according to human need. So when we see once again the ignoring of human need, we see a disastrous human result. If you like this video and you'd like to see more of them, then head over to my Patreon page and show your support. Or you can go to the MRN bookstore and check out some of the latest books available. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and share on various social media.